Hello again, my mate Vince back again with my wife's toothbrush. So I fixed this a few months ago. I had to change the internal fuse and the one next to it because I blew the next fuse. And it has been working fine since. Then she said to me last night, another fix for you. It's fully charged. Look at the batteries here. You can see they're fully lit up, but it turns itself off. Yeah? So if you leave it a little bit and turn it on, it gives a bit of life and goes off. Now, because I've already looked at this, I remember a video by Let's Fix It Garage, and the very top comment on it is somebody saying, Jack Mamat, it says, before you buy a new fuse, just apply some pressure on the fuse with a small screwdriver. It pushes in and works again. It worked for me at least. If it doesn't help, just remove. It's got 120 thumbs up and it's got 65 comments all saying, work for me, and these are not bots, spam, anything like that. This is real. So clearly pressing down on the resettable fuse in there is actually manually kind of resetting it, so they must be breaking down. So this looks like it will probably need a new fuse, so I will have to order one up. But for the time being, because my wife wants this working now, let's see if we can get it working by pressing down on the PP resettable fuse in there. One last time. There you go. I mean, to me, it does sound like battery related, but I reckon because it works for everybody else, it's probably going to be the fuse. So I'm going to squeeze around this bottom bit here. This has already been apart once, so it would probably be easier to come apart again. And when I get a little gap here, I'm going to use a little pry tool. Now, there will be gunk and mess in here because I haven't spent hours cleaning it. This is a toothbrush that is actually in use. There we go. Nice. I'll clean that afterwards. Now let's take this off. Spring comes out as well. Very careful of this coil here. That's how it charges. Now let's give it a... I'm going to push down on here to get this out. There we go. That's not particularly easy. Right, okay, let's see with that messing around there, is it going to turn on now? Which is on again? The top one. Excellent, it's not. Right, let's zoom in. I'm going to show you the PP fuse, and let's see if we can press down on it and get it working again. It's so bizarre, isn't it? What a bizarre fix. It's this little one here, PP, and you can see I changed the one next to it as well, but the original fault was the PP. So here we go. I'm going to press down on it with my nail. So I'm press down quite hard. Let's see now if that's going to have made a difference. I think I'll probably have to use a screwdriver. No, that hasn't made a difference. Right, let's use a tiny little screwdriver. Unless in my case it is battery related. Right, so I wonder now if I leave it on and do it, would it kick into life? Let's try that because it wants to go right now. But I think what's happening is this PP fuse is probably getting very... In fact, I'll tell you what we'll do. Be a bit more scientific. Let's get the thermal cam on it and let's see if the PP fuse is heating up. Yeah, see, can you see it glowing away there? Well, let's get a plastic tool and go to the middle of the heat spot. Middle of the heat spot is here, I would say. Yeah, it's that fuse. Heat spot is coming up here though as well. Right, let's press down hard on it and see what happens. Let's see if it's now going to spring and start. I'll tell you what, I'll use the plastic, then there's no danger of shorting. I'll use this plastic thing. Isn't that amazing? Jack Mamat, what a star! And Let's Fix It Garage. Isn't that amazing? You can hear the power. And you can cycle through the different things. Right, well clearly that's not going to work long term, but if a lot of people are saying it's lasted months, isn't that interesting? Right, I'm going to order up one of those fuses. but they're going to come from China, so it's going to take quite a while to arrive. In the meantime, I'm putting this back together. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that a lovely little workaround? So I give it a little bit of a clean up, but this black mould has kind of gone into the rubber. It's gone into the pores off the rubber, so it doesn't really make much difference. Anyway, I put it back in, which I'll show you now, but then check out what happens. That's back in, and now I've got to put this back underneath again. Why is it not working? What?
Ha ha.
Why does it stop working? No, 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 no. Don't do that to me. What's that about? All I did was whack it back in. Oh no. Thought I was going to have a nice easy one. Well, that was certainly shorter than what people said in the comments. That was completely dead. Why have you gone dead? Looking closely at my PP fuse, it is actually caved in. I don't think there's any voltage getting through it now at all. Battery. Negative down here, it goes up to here from memory. So we've got 3.9 volts. This side of the PP fuse, 3.9. Anything this side? Yeah, 3.9. 3.9. 3.9. What on earth's going on? Right, let me put it on the charger in case it needs to go back on the charger for some reason. Maybe it's kind of reset itself. I brought it down, I just spilt my IPA. Do you know, I haven't done that in a while. No. It's completely dead. How bizarre. I mean, I'm tempted to short the PP fuse out, but I've got voltage on both sides of it. There's 3.9 volts getting up to the button. What? Has the button failed? No way. The button. Oh. Right, it works that way. It is working. This is really, really odd. Right, there was something in the comments of that video that said about not working when put back together, and something needs to be reset by bringing the chip down to ground or something. Let me just read that. How bizarre is that? Because why would putting that on unless it was the shock of me whacking it? Okay, I managed to find the comment here. It's by Malagatisti. Probably pronounced completely wrong. It says, thanks for the video. Managed to get one with LEDs lighting up and 1 second of motor use action working by compressing the PP fuse. After one use, the whole brush died, no action at all, which is where I am now. There's nothing happening there. I didn't even get a use. I just put the cover back on. The microcontroller, which I presume is this one here, this chip here, can be reset by grounding pin 35. I used a 1K resistor to ground it on the motor ground. Well, the motor ground is just going to be... Well, I presume the whole thing's grounded. 1 second. Let me just go to continuity. So if I was to go here, is this grounded? Yeah. So I can just ground it against here, or any negative points. Brush woke up instantly. Now testing to see whether it works long term. I suspect that something is failing on the board. This brush has been abused a bit and has a crack on the body, but no obvious liquid damage is visible. So he managed to get it working by grounding pin 35 using a 1K resistor. So I'm just going to see if I can work out where pin 35 is. Right, so this is the chip here on my one, CC2640, and pin 35, sure enough, is reset. So basically, the dot on the chip is here, so you've got to go all the way around here to here. Pin 35 is the second one in from here. So let's zoom right into that and let's see what it's looking like. So it is this little one here, is the top of that capacitor, this one. So if I bring the top of that capacitor to ground, in fact, let's get the multimeter. So that's the test point there, isn't it? And I just want to see, is the case off this button grounds? No. No, so that's not currently ground. Okay, well, let's get a 1K resistor. I mean, do we need the 1K? Can we not just short it directly? Let's get the 1K just because it worked for the guy. So let me get a 1K resistor. So I've got a ton of them here. So let's take out one of these. Imagine if this worked. Obviously, it still needs a new fuse. It's weird because not many people said about this. They just, most people just seem to get it working by just doing the fuse. Right, so that's 1K. Yep, 997 ohms. Here we go. Let's see if it's going to work. So I'm going to go between the motor here and this tiny, tiny little test point. Let's zoom in so I can see what I'm doing. I'd love it if this worked. Right, so I'm on the motor casing. And I'm going to go on here. Right, so let's turn it on. Oh my word. What? Wow, that is amazing. Fair play. Wow, I didn't think that would work. That's unbelievable. Do you know what? That there is the perfect use of YouTube. It really, really is. So a massive, massive thank you. And also a massive thank you to Let's Fix It Garage as well. Honestly, perfect use of YouTube. That how many of these have been saved worldwide because of that? And then loads of people would have done that PP fuse and then been disappointed like me. But because somebody's already taken the time to work out the chip, find the reset, 1K resistor, job done. Amazing. Really is amazing. Right, okay, let's put this back in now. See if it is going to behave itself. Try to be a bit more gentle. Is it going to work? Yes. Right, I'm going to get this back in here now. Clearly, it would be better to take the ring off, but I tried to take this ring off last time and it wasn't coming off. I don't want to break it. So I will be able to get this rubber underneath by just manhandling it in. You can see it's nearly gone. Hold on, I just lifted the plastic up. Oh, here we go. It's come up. You can take it off. All right. Right. So does that just sit in there? I presume it does, and I presume that goes on top of it all. Well, do you know what? That was even more interesting than just pushing down on the PP fuse, which was already interesting enough. Well, fair play, the plastics click back down. Well, I'm going to look up the fuse and then see if I can get some. Okay, I've been buying from RS Components, £20 worth. Unfortunately, delivery was £6.95, and VAT to the government. Isn't it great being the government? Now, this is going to be next day delivery, apparently, which will be nice. I bought a whole selection of resettable fuses because I think it's going to come in useful for other items that I do. A lot of people are saying that the fuse is a Bourne's fuse, a 3 amp one. So I've just gone for a variety of different ones. I think to begin with, I'm going to put in this one here, this little fuse. That's the stock number there, but I don't know if this is correct or not. It's a 1.1 amp. I'm going to go low, 8 volts, and I'm hoping that will do. They're only cheap, 12p each, so you have to buy 10 of them, so that's £1.20. Right, it's a couple of days later now, and Toothbrush is still working. But think about it, it's going to work. I've bent down the resettable fuse. So basically, it's going to be a full short going through it. So if there was a fault condition on this, then maybe possibly the battery could overheat if something shorted on the inside. Now, quite a lot of the RS components have come through, and they were all supposed to be next day delivery, but I'm still waiting on 2 lots, but they look like they're coming from France. Annoyingly, everything's massive. These ones I thought, oh yes, these are nice and small, but then they've sent me 3.3 volt regulators. Somebody's picked the wrong item. So I think, because the ones that are coming from France also look to be, I think it was 4mm. It's weird, when you look at the data sheet and you see things like 3mm and 4mm, you think they're tiny. But look at the size of these, they're absolutely huge, which is a shame. So I'm going to take this apart. I'm going to see if there's anywhere else I can put this on the board and then run wires back to the pads. Because otherwise I'm going to have to get something from AliExpress, which I might still do. But if I could put like a proper fuse in, it might last longer, because this is clearly an issue that loads of people are having. And maybe it's asking too much of a tiny little fuse, all that heat constantly going through it, where it's like a third of a grain of rice. So maybe if I put in something which is nice and big, it will be able to sort out that heat properly. And maybe it could be possibly a better job. I don't know. So this is the one that I'm going to put in to begin with, and then if it doesn't work, I'll go for a 2 amp one. But I'm going to start low because hopefully it might give the device more protection. Clearly it's not going to fit where the other one is, so we've got to site it in a new place and then run wires from it. So let's take apart the toothbrush and see where we're going to site this new bigger fuse. Bigger though will hopefully dissipate the heat more, possibly. Just trying to work out different options of where I can put this. Let me zoom in to show you how much it's been crushed. You can see why now it's working. So maybe when people are pushing down on it, they're thinking they're kind of resetting it, but maybe they're physically just crushing it down, just like I've done there. You can see the V in the middle, just here. I could be wrong, I often am, but I think when people crush them down like I've done here, it takes quite a bit of force, because remember, it didn't work with my nail. It's only when I did it with the plastic spudger tool. And you can clearly see close up that these are damaged. It might not look damaged by your naked eye, but when you zoom in, it is damaged. I think this is acting as a full-on wire rather than a fuse. Please don't say a wire is a fuse, you know what I mean. A thick wire. So basically, I think this is the same as putting 2 big blobs of solder and joining them together. I don't think this component is acting as a resettable fuse anymore. So you can see it's far too big for that area there. It's absolutely huge. Just shows you how small the components are. I wonder if I was to stick it to the side. If I was to stick it there and then run 2 wires, would that be good enough? Because there's nothing there that's going to be dissipating the heat anyway, is there? It's not on a ground, you know, there's no big solder thing underneath it to take the heat away. I'm wondering if I stick it there, because then when it goes in here, look, there looks to be, so what we've got a rail there. There looks to be a lot of play, you know, down the side. Okay. I think I might do that. Now, if there was a way to easily disconnect the battery, I would. But I'm going to do this live, and I'm just going to be careful that I don't short my soldering iron against other components. So yeah, what I should be doing is unsoldering this one here and pulling this one down. But I already did that before, and I don't want to risk breaking anything. I don't want to create a lot of work for myself, basically. So I've got to be careful of that MOSFET above it. Excellent, that just flicked off. So there it is, that's the PP fuse. See, if somebody could source the proper ones, they could probably sell them. I'd happily pay £5 for that on eBay. I'd probably pay more if I'm honest with you. And if they could source them and get them for like, you know, in bulk 50p each or something like that, they could potentially make a little bit of money. Let's tin up these pads here because I'm going to have to run wires down from there. I know this is far from ideal, but honestly, I'm wondering whether it could potentially be a better way of doing it. Oh, hold on a minute. That goes to there. So if I was to put solder mask over that, wait 1 second. Let's have a think about this now. 1 second. If I was to go between here and here, thing is it's going to be too, what I'm wondering is, if I was to take the solder off here and cover it in solder mask and a bit of Captain tape, then I could go from here to here. The problem I've got is it's still going to be overhanging the edge by a lot. Don't want to be too close to that bottom pin. What should I do? So I decided to stick it to the side because if I put it on top it will certainly look neater, but it's going to be very close to that bottom pin of the MOSFET, and if any dampness, any water got in here, then it could short out. So I think it's probably actually better, who cares what it looks like, it's hidden, it's probably actually better just to be stuck to the side. It's going to be more out of the way, it's not going to be getting any heat from anything else because we know that this little MOSFET heats up, and then I'm not worried about any chance of arcing or moving slightly and shorting against anything. I'm going to be using double-sided tape just to stick it to the side. I was thinking about using super glue, but I'm just a bit worried that it might eat into the component over time. So double-sided tape I know is going to be safe. So I'll put a little bit of double-sided tape on, I stick the fuse to the side, and then I need to run some big beefy wires to each of the pads. I'm going to be using the right hand existing pad, but when it comes to the left hand pad, there's no point in me using that. I might as well use the massive solder blob that goes up from the battery because it's the same thing. You can see it's on the same trace there. So yeah, that's what I'm doing, and although it's not going to look nice, I think it's going to work just fine. It's not shorting against the board underneath. Here we go. I think that is going to be just fine. Right, let's zoom out and turn it on. You can see that's not shorting up here. Let's use plastic. Yeah, there we go. Excellent. Come on now. Result. Tell you what we'll do, let's get the thermal cam out, see if there's any heat on that when we bend this. Let's make sure that the bendy thing's still working, where it goes to red. Yeah. Let's see if the heat's building up. If anything's heating up. So we're looking at, yeah, there you go, you can see a little bit of heat. That's that one at the side there, isn't it? Yeah, that's it there. That's my new fuse that I put on. You see me tapping it just there? Just the bottom one. Right, I'm going to try to bend this now and see if it gets hotter. Don't want to do it too much. Well, I think that's going to be alright. Right, I'm going to turn it off and see how hot it is. There's nothing there at all. There's no heat there at all. The only reason it was glowing is because you see my finger's not in it, while beforehand, even with my finger in, it was red hot. So watch this now. If I put it here, put my finger in, you can see that there's no real heat there at all. Take my finger away and there is heat there, but not compared to my finger. That's going to be fine. 33 degrees. 34. Well, time will tell. I'm going to say that that is going to be a lasting repair, but I'm more tempted to say that, aren't I? Because it's me that's done it. Now, are you going to fit? Please fit, please fit, please fit. Oh, yes. Go on, go on. think I'm in. I wonder if it's going to pop off now. Well, it appears to be working. It's amazing how easy it comes apart when you've had it apart a few times. I'm sure it's not as waterproof as it was when it was new. That's better. Ta-da! It's charging and it hasn't blown up yet, which is fantastic. So am I right in thinking in this instance, bigger is better? Surely if something's bigger, it can dissipate the heat quicker and it's going to be less likely to be under so much stress. So could that be now better than factory? Be interesting, wouldn't it, if it would be better than factory? But please don't blindly follow me. I put a 1.1 amp fuse in. I went for less rather than more because I'm thinking if it fails, I can then go over to the 2 amp one. I've got a 2 amp one in the exact same size, so hopefully I'll be able to use the same wires and everything like that. But maybe now, if this was left charging for 24 hours or something, or if it was on and under a lot of strain under that red light, which is unlikely, but if it was like that for a few minutes, maybe that would be enough to blow that fuse. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Let me know what you would have put in. So yeah, that is it. Hopefully my wife will be happy. And you know what they say? Happy wife, happy life. See you soon, everyone.